All right, what's up guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we got a pretty fun topic. To go over. I'm going to be telling you guys what my three things are that I like the most about the One Piece TCG and the three things that I like the least. Okay, now understand this is just a pure like opinion piece. You know, a lot of people won't care for a video like this, I understand. But hey, I like to be very transparent and you know, I make a YouTube video every single day on the One Piece TCG. And I kind of want you guys to know where I stand, and I want to know where y'all stand. I want to see, am I out on my own island where it's like, man, I'm the only one who thinks this way? Or is it like a general consensus? And I think some of it is, some of it might not be. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Let's just please keep it respectful. Okay, that's the one thing I ask, is that we please keep it respectful. One more thing is, I'm not going to cover everything that I like and everything that I dislike about the game. I just want to, you know, harp on the three main points that I like and dislike about the One Piece TCG. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. You know what you're getting into. I will have everything timestamped in the general description, and I'll have links in the comment section below for anything and everything that I might reference in the video. All right, let's do this, guys. Let's get straight into it. Okay, first off, let me move my head out of the way so we can even do this video. Okay, we'll make my head nice and small over here in the corner, and let's do this. Let me see. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. We're good to go. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the things that I like. One is separated into two parts because they're separate, but they're also kind of the same idea for what I'm talking about here. I love the Dawn and Resource system. What is that? Okay, for any kind of new players, Dawn in this game is the resources, but it doubles over. It's not just Dawn. Like if you're a Magic the Gathering player, it's not just a land. It can also be used to buff your characters. Notice at the bottom right, or the bottom middle of the card, it says your turn plus 1,000. This card can also buff your character. Now, here's the thing. You might be asking yourself, well, okay, how many of these do you need to run in your deck? I've got good news for you. It comes in its own deck outside of your main deck in the game. And there are 10 of them. Okay, there are 10 of these Dawn cards. They start outside of your main deck, and you get a set amount every turn. So there is no, you know, getting screwed on resources or on mana like there is in Magic the Gathering. That's a game I played for many years. I'm not trying to dog on the game. Bear with me. I'm just trying to say that's not even a possibility in this game. Right, so I love how Dawn is in this game. How not only is it a resource to like play out your characters every turn, but later in the game when, okay, I don't need to play any more characters from my hand, or maybe I don't have any characters left in my hand. Well, guess what? Dawn in this game, I can just start attaching it to my characters or my leader and just start smashing in. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. Excuse me, I should say Dawn, resources, and the leader. I should have put the leader in this category as well, because the leader also starts outside of your deck. It is not part of your main deck in the game. So, because of that, what some artists have done in the community, I will link these artists in the comment section below. There are people out there like Kaizoku Cards, who did this Luffy, Davidson TCG, who did this this Charlotte Linlin in the background. And I got to give a shout out to Atakai as well, Atakai TCG. They make these incredible custom art cards. Now, fair warning, these are not legal in tournaments. But at your locals, most people just don't care. And hey, if they get upset about it, just always keep the extra one, you know, in your deck box where you can just play with the normal one if someone gets upset about it. Or you know, maybe it's a new player you don't want to confuse. But this allows for artistic expression within the game, outside of the game. You know, it's a weird concept. You know, maybe I didn't explain that well. I'm sorry if that was confusing or clumsy. But the idea is, okay, first of all, I can support local artists who make these pieces. And second of all, I can make it like kind of complement what I'm doing with my deck and make it look cool and unique and different. And there are also Dawn cards as well, like what you see at the bottom left. This is also from Kaizoku Cards. Sorry about the framing, guys. I took that picture earlier today. Excuse me. I took this picture earlier today. That's why it's framed kind of sloppy like that. But the idea is there's also Dawn cards that you can also, you know, bling out, make special from custom artists. We're like, not many people have them except you and people who obviously buy them off the site. So that's like one of my #1 things. Being an art person myself, being an art teacher, I absolutely loved this aspect of the game. And I know that's very kind of like niche or whatever, but I really did like that. Okay, next up is the main phase and combat phase and the life system. We're going to kind of go, you know, we're going to segue one to the other. But the main phase in this game, I really love. Like I said, I come from Magic the Gathering as my background. Excuse me. And it was very rigid. It was, you know, I can still remember, you know, untap, upkeep, draw, main phase 1, attack phase or battle phase, whatever they call it now, main phase 2, end phase, right? It was very strict. It was very set up in one way because all your attacking happens at one time, right? You know, it's done that way for a reason. And it's all done that way, you know, for a very specific reason to help with the flow of the game and so that things happen in that way. Well, in One Piece, it's a little bit different. In your main phase, you get to attack in whatever ways you want to. Let me give a quick example real quick. Excuse me. So like you saw in the background here, this is the standard board setup. Let me make my head a little bit smaller so you guys can definitely see the whole entire screen here. So like you see in the background here, this is a standard zone map. Mat for the One Piece TCG. This is all the different zones in the game. Well, check this out. The leader, you can see I have highlighted in blue. That's just a random leader right now. His name's Rob Lucci. Notice in this game, attacking is a very big part of the game. So you have characters, like what you see on the left over here in the red border, this character Brook here, he can attack into your opponent's characters or your opponent's leader. And look at this, when he attacks, he has a when attacking effect. Same thing with the leader here. So you see how this game is all about combat. I'm fighting my opponent. We're battling it out. It's my crew versus your crew. And that is so awesome the way they laid it out. And speaking of that, attacking in this game is very, very interactive. What do I mean? Like, okay, so say it's your opponent's turn to attack, right? Okay, well, check out on the side of the card of Brook's card here. Okay, you see where it says 1000 counter? Well, if I have that card in my hand, it's not going to help me on the field. But if they're attacking into my character, I might be able to counter out of their attack and save my guy. That combat system is just absolutely incredible. And it is a fun game to play because of that very, you know, thing. Okay, and with the leader, you can always attack. And on top of that, there was one other thing I wanted to say with the main phase. That's what I was going to say. Sorry, guys, I had to back up a little bit. In the main phase, I can attack with just one character. And then, okay, then I can do something else. So I attacked with my, let's just say I attacked with my Brook, right? Okay, I attack with my Brook. Now I do a few other things. Maybe I draw a card. Maybe I knock out one of their characters or KO, destroy one of their characters. Well, now I can attack with my leader. And then I can do another action. If I have all the, you know, all the available resources, of course, I can do all these different things in my main phase. You're not held down to a main phase 1, attack, main phase 2. I can attack and then do a main action, and then attack again, do a main action, and then attack a third time or a fourth, fifth time, however many characters you have available, and however many resources you have available, you can do all of that. And like I said, guys, with the Dawn, remember what we just talked about with the Dawn? I can attach my Dawn cards to my characters and start attacking with buffed up characters from my resources if I choose to allocate them that way. That makes this game extremely fun and extremely interactive. Okay, and like I said, the counter system when they're attacking into me, my characters aren't just sitting there and just going to get KO'd for no reason. I might be able to protect them. I might not be able to protect them, right? Depends on how I build my deck, depends on how big the attack is, right? But that is something you'll be able to do. Now, the life system. Absolutely brilliant life system. It is very similar to that of like, I guess it's sort of like Pokemon with a prize system, but it's the inverse of Pokemon, where it's more of a catch-up mechanic. So in other words, what I mean is say they attack into me, right? And they knock out one of my Pokemon, like in the Pokemon TCG. Well, if you knock out their Pokemon, you get a prize card. So you get basically rewarded for winning. You know what I mean? Well, in this game, and guys, I should mention that if you don't know what I'm saying, sometimes I just kind of start going. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please put them in the comment section below, okay, guys? But in this game, sorry, back to what we were saying. In this game, if you get attacked and they actually hit you, they make a connection, well, you lose one of your life cards, but it doesn't go to the trash. It goes to your hand. And the life in this game is actually its own, it adds a whole nother dimension to this game. Not because you're drawing a card for losing, right? Like, in other words, it's a nice catch-up mechanic. Check out what else you can get. There are cards in this game that have triggers, right? I know some people are rolling their eyes right now because triggers are considered very powerful right now. But bear with me, guys, you know, we're trying to talk about this game, you know, in its entirety. Look at these very powerful effects. For those who are not aware how triggers work, if someone attacks into my leader and I have to take life for it, no problem. If it's a card like Kikanojo, look at this. If my opponent has 3 or less life cards, I can play this card for free. So in other words, they attack into me, and if I have this card Kikanojo on top, oh, what do you know? And if my opponent's at 3 or less life, right? I'll just play this card out. Okay, you know, do you see where that catch-up mechanic, it adds an entire another dimension to the game. Very, very powerful effects here. Look at Sanji's Pilaf. If this happens, if they attack and this is the top card of my life and it goes through, I can activate this card's main effect to draw 2 cards without paying the normal 3 cost. So that for this game is just absolutely incredible for me personally. And there's a few others here, guys. If you want to pause and read these, there are incredible effects in this game that can come from your life to totally turn the game on its head, right? And I understand, you know, for a consistency's sake, some people are not a big fan of that. It's such a random factor. But as you've been playing the game for longer and longer, you do start to expect what you can see from the top. Now, it still might not help you, right? You still might just not be able to get out of it if it is a certain card. But, you know, it does, like I said, it adds a different dimension, another dynamic to the game. Really cool stuff here, guys. Notice this one's a KO effect, and this one shuts down an attack almost like a fog, like a miniature fog effect for Magic players. Okay, next up. This game is very affordable, at least currently, right? Affordable and simple. What do I mean by that? Okay, we'll talk more about simple in a second, because not only is it simple, it also has a level of complexity as you learn the game more and more, where you can actually outplay your opponent very consistently if you are the more skilled, better player with more knowledge of the game, and if your deck is built in a certain way and all that good stuff. Hear me out, guys. So real quick here, check out these prices. I pulled these prices today, August 3rd. That's when I'm recording this video. That's when when I'm putting it up. Notice the prices on the right here. This is a very affordable game compared to some. We're going to look at some differences in a minute. Red Purple Law, $330. Black Yellow Luffy, $230. Mono Black Lucci, $205. Blue Doflamingo, $125. And guys, this deck is about to get very good come OP08. Okay, you know, OP08.5 technically. Yellow Enel is the one outlier that is extremely expensive because of a single card. I could talk about that more later. Excuse me, or in the comment section if you're curious about what's going on there. But there is one card in the game that costs like $65 right now, or 60 or 65 US dollars right now, and it's just outrageous. But hopefully that goes down soon. We'll talk about that a little bit more throughout this video. Bonnie 217. Look at this blue Nami deck, guys. At the time of me recording this video, August 3rd, last night, a Nami deck won a 500-player Treasure Cup tournament. Okay, I think it was somehow associated with Gen Con or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I know that a Nami deck won. That is a $55 deck. That's cheaper than some Pokemon decks, guys. That's incredible. It's not the playstyle for everybody. Nami is not a standard playstyle, but still, it just goes to show that this deck, or excuse me, yeah, this deck, but this game is actually very affordable. Green Uda, $105 currently. Reiju is under $100, and Black Moria, which is, this is Mono Black Gecko Moria, $240. Now, for people who might be rolling their eyes like, yeah, you call that affordable? Well, it's like, well, yes, I do, because first of all, I have to give credit to Deck Flare. I've been sending this video all over the place. I think this video was done so well. I will have it linked in the comment section below if you want to check out the video where he gets this from. Excuse me. Let me give a quick idea of what's going on here. The person Deck Flare made a video where he got this graph from, where he basically took the top 5 decks currently in all of these 11 games. He took the top 5 decks and then averaged them and came up with basically an average cost of decks in these different games. Now, for clarity's sake, Magic the Gathering, this is in the modern format. It is not classic, constructed, or standard, whatever you want to call it. That is in modern, and that's almost $1,000 on average for a deck in that game. Flesh and Blood, this is a very generous number, I can tell you from experience. And from what I've been told, because of the current format in Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is also a very generous number, because I think there's some kind of Tin Pie deck. I can't remember. There's some type of Dragons deck currently that, this is... I think it's supposed to be a lot more expensive for some of the more top-tier decks. Same idea with Flesh and Blood. A lot of decks in this game are well over this price, but it is just an average, so we got to be fair. Grand Archive all the way at $512, by the way, for the average deck. I'll have to look into that more. I don't play this game enough, but I know it's a new game to look out for. All right, let's go ahead and skip down. So Lorcana's already at around $400. Cardfight Vanguard, and then One Piece all the way down here, $300 for the average deck. And guys, that's if you count Enel, like I said. And yes, this is a very solid deck currently at the time you're recording this video. Enel is a very top tier deck, and it will stay that way for probably 1 or 2 more sets at least that we know of. Excuse me, barring any bans or restrictions that might happen along the way. This deck is $420 currently. It is the most expensive by far. I would say the actual average price for a deck in One Piece is around $200, anywhere from $150 to $250. So I'd say $200 is the average price of a deck in One Piece, and that would put us under Digimon for what they're doing. But hey, I understand this guy was just trying to be fair. And notice Pokemon at the very bottom there, the average cost of a deck in Pokemon, $66 US dollars, guys. That's incredible. Okay, so now simplicity. This game is actually marketed for 6+, right? 6 years old and higher. So this game is marketed for extremely new players. It doesn't matter the age pretty much. It is so simple. Guys, pause anywhere in here that you want to if you want to read something. Where I'm going to just flip through the official rule manual. Like I said, pause anywhere you want to, and notice how it is laid out. Look at how simple this game is laid out, guys. Bandai, or I think it might be Cardass, is the people who create the game. I'm not exactly sure what their name is, who actually makes the game. But Bandai is the one associated with like selling it and everything. And they're the parent company, I believe it's called. Whatever, you know, enough of the technical stuff. Someone help me out in the comment section below. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But they made this game so simple, okay, that look how big the font is in this rule book, and there's pictures and everything. It's so easy to get into. And check this out, guys. We're already done, right? This was the end right here, 14 and then 15. There's the glossary. That was the entire manual to how to play this game. There is a comprehensive rule guide for the people who do want to take their game to the next level, become very skilled, and play in bigger tournaments. There is a comprehensive rule book, and I will link the rules section in the comment section below for anyone who is interested in learning, who might be a new player, or who's trying to become a judge. If you want to know the comprehensive rulings and learn all the Q&A and all that stuff, I love that stuff in the game. But I will link that in the comment section below. But guys, yes, this game is very simple. Okay, but check this out. This is from Kissimmee from earlier this year, and this right here is from my locals. This was at a pre-release. This was, you know, there was a lot more people here than on average. But the point is, this game is absolutely popping off. I probably should have named that as part of 3B or something, but this game is just exploding in popularity. One Piece is a very popular IP, just like how Pokemon is. It's an extremely popular IP. And guess what? Because of that, the game kind of just grows naturally. And the fact that it's made so well with the Dawn system we talked about earlier, with the main phase and all that, it's doing very well, and it looks like it's projected to just keep going up and up and up. Okay, well, that's enough for the good stuff, right? Now let's talk about some negatives. Okay, let's be fair. Let's, you know, we've boosted it up. We've talked about how good the game is. And by the way, that was just 3 things. There are more. But now let's talk about some dislikes. What are some things that I personally, you know, this is the VV theory talking, what I dislike personally about the game. First up is promos and starters. Now, this for me, I know this will probably rub some people the wrong way with the promos especially, but I'm just going to say I've seen what could happen. Okay, we have seen, for those who are not aware, who do not follow the market, all of these cards on the right here, at one point, were like well over $40. All of them. Like, I think Jinbei at one point reached around $100 almost. Bartolome, I think, reached somewhere around $60 or $70. I don't even know what the Luffy leader. I think this got to around $50, and I think Gordon got to around $50. Because these are a limited rarity called promo. In other words, when you buy a pack of cards, you can never get these cards. And there are way more than this, by the way. I just picked the most extreme examples. Because, guys, some promos are, like, really cheap because they're just not very good. But every now and then, a promo is printed that just fits a perfect spot in a certain kind of deck, right? Or in this case, this is a leader. Like, this is a leader that is a promo card. Excuse me. So hear me out. I love these promo cards, but here's what I'm trying to say. I wish Bandai would just, like... I almost wish they would use promos as spoilers for what is coming in future sets. You know what I mean? So in other words, like this Luffy leader, like, man, have this come out in, like... I'm just giving an example, guys, but put it in a new starter deck coming out, like ST21 or something, right? Or like in OP15 or something, you know, like, well, maybe not that far away. So currently we're in OP07 in the West. In the East, it's OP08, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But, you know, maybe have it in OP010 when this comes out or something, you know, like have these be spoiled for like what's coming in the future, so that way they don't just stay promo level forever. That's just my own personal beef with it. I am not a big fan of promos in this game because of the potential rarity issues, the potential, you know, supply and demand issues that could happen. Because that's why a lot of these cards they skyrocketed in price, guys. It happens. It is what it is. But because of that, I'm not a huge fan of promos in general. And for those who are wondering, who might be new to the game, these cards are legal in tournaments, and that's why they get so expensive. Okay, next up are these starters, you know, still under the same umbrella of promos and starters, because these are kind of like promos that you can buy. Some of the cards in these decks are, actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of the starter decks can only be acquired through a starter deck. Okay, so in other words, they're not in the main set. This might be a little confusing, guys, but in One Piece, there's the original, like there's the One Piece set that comes out, and then there are starter decks. Starter decks are what we're seeing on the screen right here. And then there are actual sets that come out, like expansions. Like, okay, the new set's coming out with a bunch of different cards. Whereas starter decks are geared towards usually 1 leader. Sometimes they're geared towards 3 in this game. I'm not going to get into that, but that's like for the ultra starter decks where it's like 3 leaders included, but they all have the same theme. So all the cards in the starter deck can be used across all the different leaders, which is really cool. But let's focus on the monocolor stuff. So for example, excuse me, this red deck right here in the front, this is ST01, just like you can see at the top and in the very front here. This is starter deck number 1. This is Luffy. It's a Straw Hat Crew style, and it even says right on here, this is a Straw Hat Crew thing, right? And then it says the same thing for all of them, what their theme is, and that is what is in this starter deck. Here's the thing. Here's the catch. The cards in this starter deck are not available anywhere else. And it gets worse. There's one other thing that I don't like about it as well. You have to buy 2 of the same starter deck in order to get the SRs you need for a full play set. So for someone like myself, I am someone who collects all the cards to be able to play with them, so I collect only base rarity, but I want a full 4-card play set. There's 4 cards to a play set in this game, for those who are not aware. I want a full 4-card play set of every single card. Now, here's the thing. I'm a content creator, so I need that in case I need to try out a new deck or a new style or come up with all these crazy things. But I will say this, guys, if I only played this game like very, very casually and I was not like completely invested in the game at this point, well, then I would actually just do like 1 color or maybe 2 colors, because you can't have dual colors in this game currently. Who knows in the future, maybe you can have more. But currently, if you're trying to play in the standard classic, constructed format, then you have to, there's only 1 color leaders and 2 color leaders. You can pick and choose, there's a bunch of them. So yeah, if I was just a more casual player, I would probably only be covering 2, maybe 3 colors, and I just wouldn't worry about the rest. I just wouldn't worry about them. But hey, sometimes that comes back to bite you in the butt when a leader comes out that you just really want to try because you like the character, or if you like, the way it looks. Okay, so that I really can't stand that, the starter thing where you have to buy 2 just to get all the cards you need for a full play sets. Okay, this is a good example of how that can get out of control. If there's a supply and demand issue with starter decks, all of a sudden the cards you see on the screen here become very, very expensive. Because look at this. My head's in the way for one of these. Let me move my head real quick. Notice Hina here, ST06. And then Linlin, ST07. Queen, ST04. These are cards that you can only acquire in starter decks. So because of that, they became very, very expensive at one point in time. We'll talk about reprints in a minute. That is coming up. In fact, never mind. We're going to talk about it right now. I was going to say one thing that Bandai is doing to combat this is they're releasing sets like what we see on the screen here. Notice in the background first, this is the PRB01 set. Because, guys, we got to be fair, right? We got to give credit where it's due. It does seem like Bandai is trying to help with these issues right here where cards become way too expensive. And there's 2 things they've done right away. First is the PRB, which stands for Premium Booster, and it's printing out like the best cards we've seen so far in the game. There is something to be said about that as well. Some cards were not included that a lot of people wanted to be included in there. But hey, it's at least a step in the right direction, and it does show that Bandai is at least trying to make sure things don't get out of control. Because they could very easily just ignore that, right, and just go past it. Excuse me. And then the one at the bottom left here, this is the Treasure Booster set, where they're going to have reprints of, well, not reprints, excuse me. Basically, another wave of older sets is being printed at random in these Treasure Booster sets. I believe this might change depending on what time you're watching this video or where you live or whatever, but I believe these are marketed, they're supposed to be marketed at $20 a piece, and they're going to have 4 booster packs in there, just, 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4 of these like booster packs that look like this, but not for PRB01, for random different boosters from the first 5 sets, OP01 through OP05. So that's at least a step in the right direction. Okay, next up, this is one of my concerns for the future of the game, is it seems like there's becoming somewhat of a lack of color identity. Now, real quick, I got to preface this with I just recently updated my What Do the Colors Do in One Piece video. I will link that in the comment section below so you can check it out. There is still a color identity, but some things make me a little confused on what direction Bandai's trying to go for the long term. And here's what I mean by that. When green first came into the game, at least when I first started, I started playing in OP02, guys. The game, OP01 was the first set. I first learned about the game and started playing it in OP02. And that was before black and yellow even came into the game, right? Like black came in the set that I came in OP02. and then yellow came in OP03. And back then, it seemed like green was like going to be the color that flooded the board with actions like this Luffy says here. Let me zoom in, guys. It says, on play, play up to one film or straw hat type character card with the cost of 4 or less from your hand. That's for free. So you see the theme there, and this is from all the way back in OP02 when I got into the game, where it's like, okay, so if I play this guy out, I can play out a 4-cost guy for free. Well, what does that look like? Like this. Here's Brook. Look, he does the same thing for a 3-cost character. Whoa. And now I can kind of just, fill out the board. Great sound effects, I know, right? You can just fill out the board like this. And I thought that was going to be a green theme. Okay? And who knows, maybe they want to make something else for green. And you guys tell me what y'all think green's theme, what their main theme is. Maybe it is just resting and unresting characters, setting your characters as active, resting your opponent's characters and doing things like that. But this whole flooding the board thing, I thought that was going to be a green identity. Excuse me. But I guess it's just not, right? Because now we're seeing that happen in other colors as well. You can pause and read all this stuff, guys. Let me move my head up to the top here. If you don't know what these cards do, I'm not going to break down every one of them. Just know that at this point in the game, there are cards from every different color that can cheat characters into play, like basically flood the board. Like I was saying, like what I thought was a green mechanic is now going to be available soon for every color, right? Even OP0s in OP08, even red and purple will have this ability to kind of just like cheat characters into play, which again, I thought that was going to be a cool mechanic reserved for a specific color. However, apparently Bandai has decided, or like I said, whoever actually develops the game, I think it might be Cardass, whoever actually develops the game, it looks like they've decided that they want every color to have some way of filling out the board. So we'll see how things go in the future. Okay, these are cards. These are not translated. Spoiler, these are coming out in OP08, in OP08.5. These are new cards that do pretty much exactly what's going on in the background where you're cheating out a character for free. Okay, next up, let me move my, my camera back down. Next up, the last one. This is my biggest beef with the game, and I know some people just don't care at all about this, and I respect that. Hey, whatever your opinion is on this game, that is your opinion, and I respect it. However, for me personally, this is my biggest gripe with the game. I got this information from OnePieceTopDecks.com. I will link that in the comment section below. This is just a picture I took of their website showing that there is an Eastern meta. We call Japan and Asia the East, and then there's a West format. Okay, so there's an East format and a West format, and the West format they call the English format because it's not just English anymore. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I think they added one other language to that. You guys help me out in the comment section below. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is we are an entire set behind. What does that mean? So like I was saying earlier in the video, we are in OP07, right, in the West. That's the set we're on, is number 7. Well, in the East, they are in OP08. And how far is the difference? Notice how I have it lined up here, guys. Like, notice how we're exactly one set behind at all times. They're on 8 while we're in 7. Look down here at the bottom, guys. I just want to draw your attention down here. In the East, OP07 came out February 24th. In the West, it came out June 28th. So they're exactly, well, not exactly, but they're about 4 months ahead of us, right? Is that 3 or 4? My math's off right now. Sorry, guys. But I think it's 4 months. They're 4 months ahead of us. Now, that for me is very tilting. It's very frustrating, and I hope that is something they fix very soon, because one thing I will say is another game owned by Bandai, under the Bandai umbrella, is Digimon. They were like 5 sets behind. I don't know. I think it might have been 3 or 4, actually. Sorry, guys. Sorry if I butchered that. Digimon players, don't beat me up. I'm sorry. But I think Digimon was about 4 sets behind the East. Because these games all come from Japan, guys. For those who are not aware, if you're like a Flesh and Blood or a Magic the Gathering player, these are games that come from the East. When I say the East, I mean specifically Japan in these cases. And that's where a lot of card games come from, actually. And here's the thing. That's kind of seen as like, the mecca of TCGs right now. Like, that is the home of TCGs. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, like when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it's even called the OCG, like the original card game, and it's rooted in Japan because that's where Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh come from, right? So here's the thing, though. Unlike Magic the Gathering, where everything is a universal release, that's not the case with One Piece, unfortunately. Same thing with Digimon. Now, Digimon, the reason I have this on the screen right now is this game is going to start catching up. Bandai has said that their intent is to catch Digimon's Western audience up with the East. And I think that's very exciting news because who knows, maybe that means One Piece might be next. We'll have to see. For anyone who might be wondering like why that's an issue, well, what ends up happening is, number one, it directly, let me scooch back a little bit, guys. Y'all bear with me. I got to go backwards through my slides here. It actually can affect prices of cards. Not necessarily in these cards. These aren't the best examples, but the point is like the people in the West start to see like, oh, wow, this leader's doing very good over in the East. So I'm going to start buying up cards now, preparing for that. Or sometimes even scalpers and people who watch the market, they'll buy up a bunch of those cards and then they'll sell them at a higher price because they know people are going to want them eventually. So it actually creates a very big problem in the secondary market. That's number one. Number two, the biggest problem for me personally is it really hurts the meta sometimes. Not always. I have seen times where it does not, but it can actually really, really hurt the meta. And that's like my bigger issue with it is I like to enter into a fresh new meta. Well, in the West, we won't ever have one, right? Because the East will get the set for 4 months before us. They'll figure it out, and then they'll go from there, right? And then the West will kind of just, you know, net deck, whatever deck is winning. And now the first locals you go to, your first locals of a new set in the West is a fully figured out meta, full of the best players piloting it, you know, at your locals. And now you're just right into it. You don't ever get that experience of like having a fresh, brand new meta. And that hurts me, guys. That hurts me. I'm a deck builder, okay? I take pride in my deck building. I love building decks. It's what actually attracts me to TCGs. And like I said, this third point, let me go back to it. Sorry, guys. Being a set behind, this is my biggest gripe in the game, and it's not even close. Okay, so just to recap real quick, guys, let me go ahead and recap real quick before we finish this off. So for my likes, you know, the Dawn and resources and the creativity there, that is something I really love about this game, and I think it's very unique to One Piece, the way they have their Dawn and resource system. I think it's absolutely incredible, and because it is made outside of the deck, and, you know, that allows for people to be, to use their artistic, abilities to express themselves in really cool ways at a local level. It's not allowed in tournaments yet. Who knows what happens in the future? And I don't foresee it ever being allowed in tournaments. But my point is, it does allow you. Let me go ahead and, since I'm doing a recap, guys, I will at least increase my my face cam size. But it allows you to express yourself as an individual, right? And maybe even show off where you come from within TCGs, right? So in other words, like for a while, what I was using for my Dawn at locals was I was using Magic the Gathering lands as my actual Dawn. Because, like I said, at the locals, they don't care, and it's just Dawn. We know what Dawn does. It doesn't do anything else other than tap for resources or attach for 1,000 power. That's it. Like, there's nothing else it can do, right? And I really like that about the game. Main phase and combat, like I said, I'm not going to go over this one for too much, but just the way that there's so much interaction when you're fighting on the field. When it's you versus your opponent and you're attacking to their characters, they're attacking to yours. They attack in your life. Should I counter out of this? Should I not? When they attack in your character, should I save this character? Should I not save it? There's blockers in the game as well. I didn't even mention, guys. You can block and do all this other stuff. Like, the interaction level is very, very high, and it also like makes the game very simplistic. However, with that, it's affordable and simplistic, but at the same time, as you get better and better at the game and understand more and more about the cards and how sequencing works and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, all of a sudden you're seeing things in a totally different way. You know what I mean? And it's a very, very fun game to play in that way, and it rewards skilled play, even though it's so easy to pick up and learn. Excuse me. And for the dislikes, just to recap on these real quick, the promos, like I said, the main thing I don't like about promos is the fact that they have the potential to spike so high in price where it can just hurt everybody else, especially new players trying to get into the game. When these promos, you can't buy them from packs. So it's just however many Bandai prints out and sends off to different stores for whatever they're doing. That's all you have access to, like, in the whole world. So that does kind of frustrate me a little bit. And the same idea with starter decks, right next to it right here. The starter decks have the same idea. If there's a supply and demand issue where a lot of people want to buy 2 starters every single set, like myself for my collection, this is really rough on new players. Where it's like, wait, now the starter decks are almost hurting new players as opposed to what they should be doing and helping them. But one thing I will say in reference to this, and I was going to mention a little bit earlier, I almost forgot, was, there is one card in particular. I'll reference it with 1 and 3 because it does kind of, the affordability and the fact that promos and starters are the way they are, that they kind of go hand in hand, right? The less available cards are, the less affordable this game becomes. And because of that, there's a card currently at the time of me, recording this video called Katakuri. excuse me, it is a secret rarity card that's going for like $65 a piece. I think maybe I did mention that earlier. But here's the thing. Bandai has at least admitted, you know, let me go back a little bit, guys. Sorry, I know my face is like right in the middle of the screen right now. But Bandai has said that they're going to deal with this with these two things you see in the background. Let me just move my face cam for a second. There we go. So Bandai is actively trying to fix some of the prices in the secondary market, and that's very exciting. That's very exciting. Okay, now let's keep going all the way to the end here. Whoops. Whoop, thanks for watching. No, we're not there yet. Not yet, guys. You're not through it all yet. Did I go too far? There we go. So the lack of now moving on to the lack of color identity, just to wrap this up. That's my biggest concern with the games. It seems like certain colors are just starting to overlap too much. Like, for example, like I was saying earlier, what is green's color? Like, what is their identity? Because every deck can flood the board. Now, yes, they are the only... There still is some color identity, and like I said, I will link in the comment section of this video, I will link a video I did in the past, just recently, talking about color identity. But there's starting to be a lot of bleed through, or a lot of overlap. For example, the color black in this game was really the KO color, like KO based off of cost. Well, now yellow also has KO, you know, and some of it is based off of cost, you know, and yeah, it usually has to do with your life or something like that, but still, it's like, wait a minute, I thought black was going to have KO. I thought green was going to be able to rest stuff and KO stuff that's rested. I thought red was going to pop based off power. You know, blue has more bouncing mechanics and stuff. And, you know, it just kind of went down the line, but I don't know, you guys, y'all tell me what y'all think. Do y'all think there is a lack of color identity? Because there is still some color identity. I want to stress that. Black has all the trash recursion. Yellow has life. Purple has dawn stuff going on, right? Red has power manipulation. Blue has top of deck manipulation. They have their color identity, but I wish it was a little more than that. Like, I wish there was more than just one identity associated with them, so that color seemed a little more unique. Because, like I said, it's starting to feel like every color can kind of do almost anything they want to. But who knows? Maybe, you know, maybe Bandai has a bigger plan. We'll have to see how that goes. And then last but not least, being a step behind. Like I said, that's where this one ended off. Hopefully in the future they're going to fix this with what they're doing with Digimon right now, or at least what they said they're going to do with Digimon, and hopefully they will be able to catch us up with the West, or with the East, excuse me, catch us up from the West, catch us up to the East as soon as possible, because I think that will really, really help the game out and make things really interesting as well, especially when Worlds comes around and all that good stuff, when everybody's on equal footing. Okay, now we can go to the final slide here. Let me go ahead and adjust my camera. You guys tell me what y'all thought about this. Again, I'm not trying to stir up any drama. This was just meant to be like my personal thoughts on the game, where I think the game's at, the things I really like about it, you know. For newer players who are entering the game, I hope this really helped you out, because it's going to tell you like an honest opinion on what I think is incredibly good about the game, and things that are kind of struggling and kind of rough, like with the things I dislike. For the more veteran players or the more casual players, tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Excuse me. Was there a big one that I missed? Was there like something that's really good about this game that I didn't mention? Or was there something really bad about this game I didn't mention? Is there something you didn't agree with? Let's just be respectful. That's all I ask in the comment section below. Let's just be respectful. And yeah, let's have fun with it. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.